Hello, everyone. This is Friar Tim, and this is Friar Tim's Fireside Chat for Monday of Holy Week, April 6th. I'm coming to you from the Reconciliation Room at Newman, where we're about to begin the Palm Sunday Mass in just a few moments. But I wanted to take the opportunity to upload this first. Our meditation this morning is from the first reading for this day, and that's from the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 42, verses 1 through 7. Here is my servant whom I uphold, my chosen one with whom I am pleased, upon whom I have put my spirit. He shall bring forth justice to the nations, not crying out, not shouting, not making his voice heard in the street. A bruised reed he shall not break, and a smoldering wick he shall not quench. Until he establishes justice on the earth, the coastlands will wait for his teaching. Thus says God, the Lord, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spreads out the earth with its crops, who gives breath to its people and spirit to those who walk on it. I, the Lord, have called you for the victory of justice. I have grasped you by the hand, I formed you and set you as a covenant of the people, a light for the nations, to open the eyes of the blind, to bring out prisoners from confinement, and from the dungeon those who live in darkness. This reading is traditionally known as the first suffering servant song in the book of the prophet Isaiah. And it points out the characteristics of Jesus, which is essentially a question of gentleness. Now, in all of the violence of the Passion narratives, gentleness seems to be something that is a tad difficult to achieve. Yet, it is very clear that Jesus in his mission manages to remain quite gentle across the board. Never shouting, never responding with violence in kind, never engaging on the same level of meanness and one-upmanship and vituperation that occurs very commonly in all of these things. A certain level of gentleness. Now, I think the call for us, perhaps, in all of this is in our own particular mission of being a light for the Gentiles and of being something for the people of Israel and sending forth the message. We can sometimes tend to be harsh, unyielding, tough, into it, hard grinding, nose to the grindstone. And yet, Jesus tells us that it's the complete opposite that is going to make all of this occur. A certain level of gentleness and kindness and patience. So we might ask ourselves and look around concretely in our own lives, how gentle are we? One of the things I notice about myself is one area where I'm particularly not gentle and not patient is, you know, those Friar Bill always buys these cold cuts, and they're always in these resealable packages. And the resealable package has that little strip that connects it, but then it's resealed again. In the morning, I try to fumble to open these things up, and I get so impatient and I get so not gentle that I just take a knife and cut the thing open. And then, of course, what I have to do is I have to re-put it back into another plastic bag, and it causes me so much more work. Whereas if I only allowed myself to be a little bit more gentle and patient with it, I would achieve the same goal with much less work and with much less aggravation. In essence, when I'm not gentle with the package of cold cuts, I cause myself more work, I cause myself more aggravation, and I cause myself more pain. Take this one step out in our relationship with other people. If I just remember to be gentle and patient, I will probably achieve what I want to achieve with much less suffering, with much less aggravation, and frankly, I probably won't have to spend as much emotional energy apologizing, making up for it, trying to smooth out the rough edges that I did, trying to calm the waters that I made much more turbulent and much more wild. A certain level of gentleness and a certain level of patience. If we look and see in these instances in our lives, whether it's opening up a plastic container, whether it's responding in kind to the people that I live with whom I'm in much more close and enforced quarters these days, whether it's just patience and gentleness with myself, that I'm not getting as much done as I wanted to get done, that I'm not achieving as much as I wanted to achieve, that I'm not as active as I wanted to be. A little bit of gentleness and a little bit of compassion with myself also goes a long way. That doesn't mean being lazy. That doesn't mean being self-indulgent. That doesn't mean being lackadaisical. But it does mean I will probably be a little bit more happy and content with what I can do, as opposed to mentally beating myself up for what I can't do, or didn't do, or could have done, or should have done, or would have done had I been able to see the future, which, golly gee, I can't. So, as we enter into this Holy Week, which is frankly a strange and odd Holy Week, not only for us, but for every person of faith throughout the world, which is also the same week in which our Jewish brothers and sisters are celebrating Passover. Again, a same level of strangeness for them all, for all of us, and for all people of faith. Let's be gentle with ourselves, with the people around us, and with the objects around us. And let's just pause for just a few moments to allow the gentle Spirit of God to calm our minds and to calm our hearts. And I'll end with a very, very traditional prayer. Heart of Jesus, meek and mild, make my heart like unto thine. Amen. God bless. Happy Holy Week.